Welcome. I'm Bonnie Serratore,
Saroja.
and she has something really awesome to share. She's going to be talking about autism, and she has her own personal journey, which makes her even more wanting to really offer this awesome series on autism. Saroja, can you share a little bit about your journey, what you're dealing with, what you know?
Yes, Bonnie. Well, I have a 20-year-old son, Narayan. He has autism and he's nonverbal. And he was diagnosed when he was 13 months back in New Jersey. And about the blessing and kind of like a struggle. I mean, there's both sides to autism. There's a blessing of it in my experience, and there's the struggle. There's a experience of being frustrated with what's going on with his behaviors, his aggression at times, and then there's this side of him that's loving and gentle and wonderful. So I want to help people with autism in different aspects. I want to help people with people who are caring for a loved one with autism, whether it's your son, daughter, or your grandchild, or wherever. I'm offering a series called Autism Series, Caring for a Loved One with Autism, which will be held on June 28th, 2025 at 1 p.m. And I know from just going on Facebook and like looking at Facebook Reels, the struggles that that people go through when caring for their loved ones, and how they don't feel they get the support that they need. They feel they're getting judgment. They hear things like, well, you should euthanize your child because he can't be controlled, or why can't you control your son? Why can't you control your daughter? They shame them for being bad parents or bad grandparents.
Whoa, okay.
And
Wow.
I want to help them out however way that's appropriate for them, just to make them feel peace. I want them to take time for themselves, um, get the support that they need, really get the clearing, release all that tension, that anxiety, that heartbreak, that they feel that they're
Mhm.
alone, that nobody supports them. So that's really important to me, because
Mhm.
that's how I feel at times, that people are not supporting me, that people are making me feel bad for having an autistic son, or even pitying me for having an autistic son, which I don't care for.
Mhm.
That's how
Mhm.
I feel about my experience.
Right,
Because
right.
my son is a blessing. He's taught me so much. Um, it's a challenge at times, but it's not as bad as it used to be. And a lot of it is services. Sometimes the services and where you are not that great. There's waiting lists. It's really frustrating. My son just graduated from high school last in May, and it's been a struggle because I'm on the waiting list for adult schools. And I'm fortunate to find an ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis Therapy, which he doesn't have to be on the waiting list, so we can start something where he can do something, not being in the home, not being sleeping all the time, bored. He can do something instructive, and
Mm.
that's what I want for everybody else, to get the services that they want, get the support, and be able to feel empowered. Okay, don't tell me how it is. This is how it is in my life. Don't judge me. You don't know what it's like.
Mhm. Mhm. So in the clearings, this is the kind of stuff that you'll be dealing with is the person that's the caregiver that's taking care of an autistic person. You'll be helping
Yeah.
them with their angst all around it, basically.
Yeah, definitely need to help the people who are caring for them, whether it's the mom, the dad, the siblings, the grandparents, or even, I guess, teachers, who might be struggling, or teacher aides who might be struggling, who might want to benefit from this clearing. So it's really
Hmm.
important that we help the people who are caring for them and not leave them in the dark. Yeah.
Hmm. 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 So it's a three-part series.
Yeah, the first one, as I said, was caring for a loved one. The second one is the autism series, Language and Communication Barriers. That is on July 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And
Okay.
like I said, my son is nonverbal, but he does, and but he is vocal. He is vocal, but he can't really express. The only thing he can really say is mama or mommy. But even that is not. I'm not sure if it's intentional or not. And once or twice in his lifetime, he said baby, but he
Mm-hmm.
can communicate in other ways. He can type. He can type basic wants and needs. He can kind of gesture a little bit. And I just kind of know, as being his mom, I just kind of know some at times what he wants. Um, but it's also receptive language that they understand, also speaking, um, uh, because sometimes lack of communication can lead to other behaviors, frustration, people not understanding them, people feeling uncomfortable around them. Because that's my
Mm-hmm.
experience. If they don't talk, if they don't react, people seem to feel uncomfortable about around that situation because they're not
Mm-hmm.
familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to help people with whatever language or communications you're suffering for yourself, if you're autistic yourself, or if you have a loved one with autism, because for this series, for this language communication barriers, a, a person who has autism can receive this, or if you have a loved one, you can be like a surrogate for a loved one with autism who can't be there themselves. If they can't speak, they can receive this
Mm-hmm.
clearing. You can do it for them, and
Wow.
they receive it. Yeah.
Awesome. Very awesome. Wow.
The third segment is Autism Series Challenging Behaviors, and that will be held on August 30th, 2025 at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's
Okay.
whatever that you feel is a challenge behavior is what I mean, whatever you feel is inhibiting or inhibiting their growth, their evolution. For me, my son, it was his aggression. It's gotten better. It's gotten much better. There's still challenges. And that's to me that was inhibiting his growth,
Mm-hmm.
inhibiting for him learning more, doing other
Mm-hmm.
things. And
Right.
it could be whatever, it could be other things. It could be like you're just focusing on one thing and it's inhibiting your growth. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking
Mm-hmm.
about necessarily stimming. Oh, stimming, stimming can prevent if you're like not like banging your head. That's definitely a hindrance to your growth. If it's more
Mm-hmm.
like circling around, spinning around, not necessarily, unless you feel that it is, you
Mm-hmm.
can get a
Mm-hmm.
clearing for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be
Mm-hmm.
asking like, what is the most challenging behavior that you feel is affecting your child, affecting the home, affecting his life, that you feel
Mm-hmm.
is preventing him from growing and expanding himself. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I
Mm-hmm.
want to help with people with that. Yeah.
Right. So, Rosa, can you say something too about the actual caregiver? Their energy does affect an autistic person.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Even for me, if I get frustrated or angry or get upset, my son picks up on that and he knows. He knows. My son can pick up on energy. That's something he can
Mm-hmm.
pick. When I
Mm-hmm.
was when I was married, my ex-husband, he was quite abusive. He was quite, terrible about his autism. He was abusive, mentally abusive, physically abusive at times. He would say if my son did something wrong or did something that he didn't like, I wish he would have been aborted or something. And I think he picked up on that. I think it affected him,
Oh
and I
yeah.
think
Yeah.
he definitely picks up on the energy and the negativity. Even if he doesn't understand the words, he understands that there's something negative going on. There's just something about him, and you feel it. You just feel it, and it's just you pick up on it. So you definitely
Right.
want to clear out the energies of the people who are affecting your energy. So you definitely that would
Right.
be that. We're clearing out the energies of the mom, the dad, the siblings, you know, to help them feel
Right.
more freer.
Yeah, so this, to me, it sounds like this would be really an important clearing for anyone who is dealing with a loved one or just being a caregiver for autistic people, simply because just even the fact that they could calm their body down and
Yeah,
not create such a reaction, because I know autistic they're extremely intuitive,
yeah,
extremely sensitive. So I think it's important that anyone caregiving autistic people, they got to be in a really good centered balanced place. So I think this series could really truly help with that.
yeah. Definitely help people who have autism and people who care for autism because
Mm-hmm.
they both need it. They both need it. They need to help each other out and support each other. And when you feel more clearer, more empowered, more calmer, it
Mm-hmm.
helps. It helps. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Wow, this is huge, Saroja. I'm so glad you're doing this. This is an awesome, really awesome. We've not really done much in our programs or anything really. So
Mhm.
this is like almost like a first. So this would be really
Yeah.
good. So thank you for doing that. And I just want to encourage anyone who's dealing with autism, whether it's themselves or for somebody else, that there will be a great benefit to do this series. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you, Saroja. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.